Wow, what an introduction. I don't think I've ever had one like that before. You know, it's great to be here tonight. Do you need me to use a mic? Okay, good, because I don't really like using mics. Look, the candidates that I heard tonight, there's a lot of good stuff that you need to listen to. Candidates today don't necessarily have that type of fabric in them. You know, and I will tell you that for those that are running for the House and the legislature, I would love to be able to work with you in the next session. For those that are running for Secretary of State, I would love to carry your message across the state, to remind people about what Colorado's all about, to remind people about America. You know, some of you may be a little upset with me because I used to be a Republican. And it wasn't until the beginning of this year that I changed parties. You've heard some already say they've changed parties, okay? And we changed parties because we recognize that in order for us to make a difference, at least for me, we need to understand the environment by which we're making battle. But I'll also tell you that one of the things that drives me to become an independent, I grew up as a Democrat. People look at me in Denver and they think I'm a Democrat just because of my ethnicity. You know, I was elected mayor in Parker, Colorado at the age of 27, the youngest mayor elected in the state at the time, and it was a strong mayor. I was a mayor and the city manager at the same time. So all the department heads reported directly to me. Douglas County was a strong, strong Republican county in 1992. And I got elected as a Democrat. During the middle of my term, I became a Republican. Why? Because I studied the national platforms. And I evaluated the values of each party, and I determined that I was a Republican. And I'm here to tell you that all the Hispanic community is truly, down to the core, conservative. They just don't know it. Because no one's ever actually told them what being a conservative is truly, what it really means. So I was a conservative for over 30 years. I just came back from Congress. I was a congressman for the 4th Congressional. And so what I realized going to Washington and watching what's happening here in Colorado, I firmly believe that today the parties have lost their way. They no longer really truly care about us. They focus on the political football. In order for me to get onto the ballot, I had to go around and get signatures from registered voters. So I went to car shows, I went to concerts, I went to parks, I went to farm markets, I went everywhere. And I asked people that I informed people I was running as an independent for governor. And in order for me to get on the ballot, I just needed signatures. Didn't mean that they were going to vote for me, just meant that they were helping me get onto the ballot. And here's what they told me. I'll sign it. I'm sick and tired of both sides. I'm sick and tired of the politics. I'm sick and tired of us having to struggle every single year, every single election, because no one really is truly solving problems. Someone mentioned it earlier, right? You need candidates that have solutions. You have candidates that can step forward and say, this is what I believe needs to happen, and give you an outline as to what they plan to do. You heard others talk about it's important for us to unite. Here's what I ask you. Unite behind what? Do you unite behind a jersey that says D or R? Or do you unite behind the values that candidates carry? The character of the individuals. People forget that when America was created, there were no political parties. Our nation was created because we were united in our values. We were united in our goals and our freedoms. And it was President George Washington that warned us in his farewell address, be careful if you embrace political factions, because they will divide the nation. They will divide the people. And we no longer will focus on one goal, and that's freedom for everybody. And here we are, 250 years later. When you talk about the Founding Fathers, I will tell you that they were the most wise people that anybody can really challenge, because if you read their history, if you read their documents, the fact that we withstand 250 years under one constitution. Most nations have at least 3 to 4 versions of a constitution, but we've been strong with one. Look, I've been here in Colorado 38 years. I've seen it change. I've seen it evolve. The Colorado that I moved to when I was a newlywed was the state that provided opportunity, provided prosperity, embraced all of us. We all wanted to live in Colorado because of what it offered to us. Not only the quality of life, but also the different ways of life. That we could enjoy ranching and farming by going out to the mountains. That we could see professionals in the urban corridor. That we can do all the outdoors activity without any real obligations or restrictions. The Colorado that I once knew doesn't exist anymore. People are leaving by droves. You hear it. I believe that we can make Colorado that state that is always destined to be. A state where we can all work together. A state where we can respect each other. A state where we will not point fingers at each other and call each other names because we don't agree. We got to go back to learning that golden rule. I ask people if they remember the golden rule. People can't really recite it anymore. And it was pretty simple. Just treat others like you would like to be treated. It's that simple. And if we did that, Colorado would be a better place. Some will argue that because I'm a former Republican that I'm splitting the vote. I will tell you, I've had Democrats say, I'm not signing your petition because you're going to split the Democrat vote. And I'm here to tell you, your vote belongs to you. It doesn't belong to a party. It belongs to you. There is no splitting your vote. You cast your vote. You cast it however you choose to cast it. But when a party tells you you must vote based on the jersey that you're wearing. And if you don't, we're going to shame you. If you don't, we're going to kick you out of the group. I'm seeing it all over the place. You need to ask yourself, is that really what America's all about? That they tell us how we must vote? Governor Polis was trying to tell us that we couldn't eat meat. And we didn't like him telling us that. So I think it's time for us to stand tall. If we really want to save Colorado, we must recognize that we need to support men with character. Men that are dedicated to make sure that they will fight for the right reasons. The candidates that I heard here today, I will tell you, everything that they say I agree with. Because that is really the foundation of what made America great. But we must not speak ill of our brothers and sisters on the other side of the aisle. Because we must be compassionate. We must know why they think the way they think. We must be able to sit at the table and have dialogue, have conversation. We must respect each other. That doesn't mean we need to agree, just means we need to respect. Because we all have the right to an opinion. If we all believe in the First Amendment, that we should all be able to sit down at a table and have a conversation. I will tell you that my path to victory is not the easiest path that anybody could choose. I don't have a machine behind me. I don't have money behind me. I don't come from money. Colorado is turning into that state where you must be rich to run for office. They purposely are doing it that way. And so we need to understand that if we're going to make Colorado Colorado again, we got to break the mold. We got to focus on what works and what is going to change the future of our state. My governing principles are pretty simple. People over politics, do no harm, and do what works. We can make Colorado a state where people will not want to flee to Florida, that they would like to have 2 homes. and come back to Colorado and enjoy the beauty that we have. But we've lost the soul of this great state. It's been ripped out of its chest, and we are on life support. We are. If we don't change the direction of how this state is going, we don't know what it's going to look like 8 years from now. Now, folks, I'm here to have a conversation with you. I'm not the smartest man in the room, and I never will be the smartest man in the room. You know, I can go through my resume, I can go through all my experiences, I can share with you all the ideas that I have, but it's about solutions, not rhetoric. It's about making sure that we do make things that make everybody's life better. It's about your quality of life, however you describe it. And we must remember there are 64 counties, not 11. The urban corridor is not Colorado. There are more people that we need to protect and be a part of their everyday lives to make sure small business thrives and survives. You know, I'm the former director of the United States Small Business Administration here in Colorado. I'm a small business owner. I know the challenges of small business. And most people forget that if you're a farmer or a rancher, you're a small business. Everybody's a small business if you work for yourself. So I would just ask you to give some consideration to my candidacy. Because I will tell you, I am the only candidate of the three of us that will win votes from the unaffiliated bucket, win votes from the Republican bucket, and win votes from the Democrat bucket. I am the only one that will be able to win votes from all of those three. And in Colorado, that's true representation. So with that, I'll leave it up to questions. And don't give me the easy ones. I guess everybody's going to vote for me.
I'm thinking about it. I don't think you've ever done a tele-exorcism or murdered someone when you were 7.
Let me ask you this one question.
Or be a socialist.
What keeps you up at night? If I was governor today, what would you want me to know? I'm going to give you something that better keep you up at night. Colorado is out of water. There is no water in the state of Colorado. Just because it comes out of the tap, do not believe Colorado has water. We are running out of water. The water that you're using today is water that we've been saving for years. How many of you have been up to Lake Dillon lately? If you haven't gone up to see the reservoirs and you want to see a scary sight, go. 83% of our water, folks, comes from the snow melt. 83%. And because we didn't have a snowfall, a big winter this year, we don't have water. Farmers are right now having to sell their cattle because they don't have water for them to drink. And they don't have water to grow hay to feed them in October. This is going to be a huge economic disaster for us. And I feel that the urban corridor just wants to continue to build car washes. They want to keep building new homes. We live in the desert. 83% of the water falls on the western slope. And 83% of the population lives on the east side of the Continental Divide. It's starting to keep me up at night. Because water is a battle. I'll leave you with this. The big saying, and it's always been this in Colorado: whiskey's for drinking, water's for fighting. We're about to get into big battles with California, Arizona, and Nevada. Because the upper states of Utah, Wyoming, Colorado, and New Mexico, we need water. And they're taking the water away from us. So you might not see that as a big issue as it pertains to campaigns, But you need a governor that understands the totality of what this state is facing. In water, we're in a crisis, big crisis. So, any last questions? Any words of advice? A lot of people want me to get out of the race. Should I do that?
What would be your 3 top priorities?
Well, first is government. Our state government's too big. We got $1.7 billion in the red already. $1.7 billion. Transparency of the government needs to occur. Affordability. You know, we talked about housing. You talked about housing. You know, we don't build starter homes anymore. We build homes that require 1,800 square feet. We need homes that have 1,100 square feet that you can buy for less than $260,000, and it can be done. Those are the types of affordability. You know, our gas prices are up, our insurance prices are up, our property taxes are up. Every single day, someone's sticking their hand in our pocket. We got to stop that. Crime and education. Crime is through the ceiling here. I don't even come to Denver anymore. I don't. Denver used to be the icon, the jewel. Everybody wanted to bring friends and families to downtown Denver, to the 16th Street Mall, because we were proud of what we had. We don't do that anymore. Fentanyl is a big problem. Our education is failing our children. Everywhere I look, Colorado's in a crisis. But those would be the 3 things. Government itself, because government is overreaching and they're causing all the struggles that we're having to deal with. The second one is, again, affordability. And the third is crime. And I would ask you that run for the legislature when you get elected, force your colleagues to limit their bills to 2 a year, not 5. The legislature passes 600 bills every 5 months of every year. 600. They can't read them all. They can't. And I know they can't. But if you pass 200, now you can have a debate. Now you can really analyze them. And your responsibility, guys, you need to make sure that the House is controlled by one party and the Senate is controlled by another. Because unless they compromise, nothing goes to the governor's desk.
Colorado lost 30,000 businesses last year. How do we stop the capital drain?
We start promoting small business. We start saying that, you know what, business is important. I will tell you, small business is big business. I'm not a strong advocate for big corporations because they leave. They don't stick it out. All of a sudden, when they're not making profit, when they're not hitting their benchmarks, they'll move somewhere else. Small business stays. It's a balance, but we must make sure that small business always takes priority over corporate America, because that is the main street of every single community. That is the main street of Cortez. That is the main street of Dolores, Sterling, Lamar. We must remember we have brothers and sisters that live in 64 counties. I'm not for incentives at all. You want to do business? Put on your big boy pants, pay for the business, make sure it happens. But do no harm.
What's your strategy to rebuild the non-existent relationship between our state and our federal government? Because that would be a role of your government.
So the first step is to build that relationship with the Colorado delegation, the congressional delegation, right? We have 8 House representatives, 2 United States senators. My goal is to sit down with them on a regular basis, one by one, maybe quarterly as a group, and learn and share, because I was in Congress. And they need to understand that we must have a good relationship with the federal government. We must. That doesn't mean we need to rely on them 100% for everything that we need. But we cannot believe that having difference of opinions and calling each other names, that's going to help the people of Colorado. You know, my sources tell me, and I have some pretty good sources, one of the big problems that happened with Governor Polis and President Trump is they got in a shouting match in a phone call. And when they hung up, both sides said, these guys will never talk again. And it's happening. So I'm gonna end up there, but if you care to join all of these candidates, folks, go to their websites. Go to their websites. Give them $10. They'll take it. I'll take $10. Don't think that you gotta give them a lot of money. They know how to stretch that dollar. So on behalf of all these candidates here, I urge you, write a check. Doesn't matter how much. They'll appreciate it. Thank you.